How many? How many? How many? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
All right, what did I get up to?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of How Many, the only podcast on the internet that counts. I am your host, Jesse Jackson. Joining me tonight is Junior, Scott, Gary, and Bob. There are a lot of topics we cover. We talk about the Cowboys. We talk about music. We talk about
movies, TV.
But one of our favorite topics is food. So, Junior, I think you have a food topic for us tonight, don't you?
Absolutely. I fancy myself as kind of a sandwich connoisseur. If I had to eat one meal for the rest of my life, I think I could have sandwiches and not Bud Dwyer myself, because I love sandwiches. So many different combinations, so many different ways you can prepare a sandwich. So I thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun if we took a look at the top 50 sandwiches and determined how many of these are actually good tasting, well-known sandwiches? How many of these would you actually sit down and eat?
Are we defining it just
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
I don't have hot dogs, I believe, on this list. I think this is all just traditional two pieces of bread with meat in the middle.
For those of you that want to follow along, just Google Taste Atlas 50 most popular sandwiches in the USA.
And I want you to keep in mind, you can add in honorable mentions that I've missed.
So the number
factor
may
that
be higher
into
than
your
50.
guess. Yeah, so it could be more than 50 that we actually talk about.
Okay, so I've had a food issue my whole life. I am going to say 40.
Gary, how about you?
Like Jesse, I like food. You've given us a list of 50 sandwiches, and I'm going to say that the number is 51.
51. So we're going to have
Gary,
enough add-ins.
I love that.
Gary, that is a damn good pick.
Bob?
In honor of the Iceman, I'll go with 44.
I'll go next, and I'll give Scott the ability to go last. I'm going to go 35. Scott, how about you?
If I'm picking my sandwich, the sandwiches that I would eat off this list, there's probably 3.
Really? You hate sandwiches?
I am incredibly picky about what I eat, especially with sandwiches. You know, my sandwiches are always ordered without rabbit food.
So meat and cheese only?
Meat and cheese sometimes and the bread. I'm going to say 37 because I think I'm going to get outvoted.
All right, so let's start reviewing some of these sandwiches. We'll start at number 50 on the list. The hot turkey sandwich, which looks like it is just basically a Thanksgiving dinner in between two pieces of bread.
Open face turkey sandwich.
I will preface this by saying that picture looks like crap. And I make that sandwich every year on Thanksgiving, and it's a massive yes.
I would say yes, too. I love Thanksgiving. I love turkey. You know who really had a great open face turkey sandwich was Black Eyed Pea. They used to have that on their menu. Sometimes I'll put the gravy on the side and have the cranberry sauce.
I definitely, yes. I am not a cranberry fan.
I've got cranberry in my cabinet right now.
Bob loves the cranberries. Zombie.
Zombie.
Thanksgiving turkey sandwich is so spare. Turkey is not a good food anyway.
Turkey is fantastic.
Mike,
I had a turkey sandwich just before we started this podcast.
If it's fried turkey, I'm all in, man. And you put that on sourdough bread, then, you know, we're rocking.
If someone wanted to argue if it's a sandwich you have to use a fork to eat with, is it really a sandwich?
What you're looking at right there, I will not use a fork to eat that.
just in general terms, do you guys prefer a hot versus cold sandwich, or do you not care one way or the
It's
other?
all mood, man.
Yeah.
If it's cold and rainy, I want a hot sandwich. If it's a hot day outside, a nice cold turkey sandwich.
I would do 75 warm, 25% cold.
I mean,
I'm
my
with you,
favorite
Jesse.
sandwich is a Philly cheesesteak, and that needs to be hot.
Unless it's a tuna or chicken salad, something that's supposed to be cold. I want it hot. I want melted cheese.
I'm actually the opposite. I like my sandwiches cold because it feels like a hot sandwich is just more work, and I want to get to eating as quickly as possible. Yeah, because you got to take the time to heat it up, make sure the cheese is
10
melted.
seconds in the microwave.
Toast the
Well,
bread.
first of all, you buy
Okay,
hot
this is-
sandwiches,
This is
Junior.
where I have you guys trumped because I have the electric
Panini.
lunchbox.
Oh, I thought you were talking about G.
I have my sandwich in my lunchbox. I plug it in about 45 minutes before I'm supposed to eat my lunch, and it comes out perfect. The bread's still crispy because the bread has to be toasted.
God, that sounds like a band from 1967. The Electric
Lunchbox. All right, so we all said yes to the hot turkey, right?
Yes.
All right.
Except for Scott.
All right, next up we have the Speedy.
It's a speedy way to make a shish kebab. Just marinate, skewer, and cook. And one part of the U.S. serves it up in a sandwich.
It's a tasty treat of marinated meat, charbroiled and fed on a slice of Italian bread.
Never heard of it, but it looks
Never heard of it.
delicious.
I'm right there with you.
Marinated chicken, pork, or lamb. It looks like a shish kebab.
I've had that, but it wasn't called that. It was a shish kebab with the stick still in it on bread, just like that.
Yeah, it looks like it's a New York specialty.
I've never had this, but sign me up.
I've never wanted to go to Binghamton, New York more than I do now.
Exactly, yes.
It looks delicious. I'm going to give it a sight unseen, taste unseen, yes.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, I'm in. Yeah.
Scott, do you want to poo-poo on this one?
I'm out.
That looks like bechamel sauce that's on it too. I think I've had that exact sandwich and it's really
Sauce
good.
is bad.
Scott likes to go in dry.
All right, next up, we have the Texas brisket sandwich.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's a
so
no-brainer.
that's a definite yes.
Sliced, chopped, it doesn't
Now,
matter.
Scott, you've got to be on board with this.
I will give you this one without the sauce.
No
I was-
barbecue
Scott,
sauce?
No, Scott, I'm the same way. Good brisket does not need sauce.
Exactly.
It's like you don't put steak sauce on steak.
I got to have the barbecue sauce.
You put
Well,
steak
you should
sauce
stop
on
eating
that.
brisket there.
If it's sliced, I'm okay, little or no sauce. But there is something great about a chopped brisket that's got a lot of sauce.
If I'm going to have sauce on that, I'll spread it on the bun like mayo or
Yeah,
something.
we're 3 for 3 so far.
Yeah,
I'm
so
looking
we're
on
good.
saying
that.
yes. All right, next up, we have the porchetta sandwich.
Oh, is it a red porchetta? That's Russia's favorite sandwich.
So it looks like it is the boneless pork. Pretty nice little baguette kind of bread going on there. It looks delicious. Now,
I've never
that does
heard
look
of
a
it.
little dry. Like I would
It does
definitely
look
need
dry.
some mayonnaise and some mustard there.
It says it usually has a drizzle of olive oil and maybe a little salt and pepper. That bread
Toast that
alone looks
bun.
really good.
It does
Toast
look
that bun.
like a ciabatta bread. Yeah.
All right, so
Yes.
Gary, you're a yes. Jesse, you're a yes.
Yes.
Bob.
Yeah. I mean, it's food, man.
Scott, are you in on this one?
Yeah, if there's no rabbit food on it, I'm in.
This would be like us going to an AA meeting and doing best beers. How many beers?
Next up,
Fat
we have
sandwich.
the fat sandwich.
At New Jersey's biggest university, these sandwiches are king of the food scene. Long plush rolls are filled with entire meals, from cheeseburgers and ketchup to chicken fingers and fries.
It looks like
Oh
it
my
has
God.
mozzarella, fried cheese sticks, and fries in a hoagie
Somebody
bread.
does this.
I mean,
I've never had this.
I
Somebody
would
around here
try
does.
it, but I don't
Yeah,
know that
this
I
is
would.
the first one. Yes, I would definitely try this. Cleveland has a restaurant called Melt, which is nothing but great different kinds of gourmet grilled cheeses, and like they will do Italian sausage and fried cheese in
Oh,
between
man,
two pieces
that
of
sounds
toast
so
and
good.
make a grilled cheese and stuff. I don't know this one, but just based on the description, hell yes, I'd eat it.
It looks interesting, but you know what? I think this may be my first no. It just
Same.
looks too busy.
I would try it, but it
Yeah.
looks like too much.
No, I would not order that. I would not eat that.
All right, we got our first no.
I was really on the fence about it, and I would tell you if I were sober, I would probably not order that, and if I were drunk, I would absolutely order that.
That is another whole discussion.
Next up,
Arby's.
we
Yeah,
have
it
the
looks just
pit
like Arby's.
beef sandwich.
Home solo sandwich.
Yes, the Hope Solo. You're having Arby's.
So amazing. It'll say, you're having, I'm Arby's.
Says it's a Baltimore
Hell
tradition,
yes.
but you can get one of these.
I'm
Yeah,
in for this and Hope Solo.
That looks like something you might put horseradish on.
I
Yeah.
can't.
And I've
yes,
got
it
horseradish
can.
in my fridge right now because I like it on my sandwiches.
Yeah, it says horseradish, mayonnaise, thinly sliced raw onions, which I would
Ooh.
not include
No,
in a sandwich.
no
I wouldn't
onions.
A memorable part of the plot in Pecker the John Waters 1998 movie.
Wasn't it the kid
Yes.
from Terminator? Was
Yes.
Edward Furlong.
Yes.
Oh, give the Arby's big giant yes.
How about the beef on weck?
All right, you haven't tried all things Western New York until you've tried beef on weck.
The sandwich comes on a salted Kimmelweck roll, dipped in some au jus, which is the juice of the beef. Top it off with some horseradish, and you've got a uniquely Western New York sandwich.
I'm not crazy about that bread, and that's what it's based on, is that Kummelweck roll, but too many seeds.
I am not normally a fan of the medium rare beef. This one, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, Jesse, I think blood is for steaks, not for sandwich meat.
Is that blood?
Is that blood?
That's a steak, and it looks good, and I like the blood, and I would eat it.
All right, so Gary, you're a yes. Jesse, you're a no. Bob's a no. And Scott?
I'm a no.
I would have voted no, too. Next up, we have bagel and lox, a
Those are
favorite
good.
of the New Yorkers.
Those are
I've
really-
never had this.
I will tell you, Jesse, the first time this was proposed to me, I was so squeamish about even trying it. It's actually really good.
It looks good, but you know what? I've never tried it either. Now, I love bagels.
You like sushi?
Yeah, I love bagels. I love cream cheese. So
Yeah.
I would definitely try it.
Nice
but
piece of fish.
A nice piece of fish.
I know it's a classic. I would certainly try it.
And Junior, it's like a Philly roll without, instead of rice, you've got a bagel.
So, Gary, you're a yes. Jesse,
Yeah.
you're on the fence.
Yeah, I'm going to go yes.
Bob?
I'm going to say no, but it might be something I might like.
Scott?
I'm a big no on that.
This is a giant no. That's got a no all over it for sure.
That's-
I'm going to say yes. Taste unseen. Next up, we have the pork tenderloin sandwich, which
Okay.
looks like it's a fried piece
Now-
of pork.
I'm just wondering if we're also going to see a Cuban, because this is like very similar to a Cuban, but it's fried.
I think that's the difference. Is this is a fried piece with breaded pork, and a Cuban is just pork, not fried, not
This looks
not
really
battered.
good. I would totally eat this.
I've never eaten this, but yes, sign me up.
I'm a fan of pork, so I would say yes.
Yeah, I'd count it.
Scott,
Hell yeah.
I'm assuming you're a
No.
no on this one, right? Are you not a fan of pickles?
No, pickles are disgusting.
Hey, dill.
Hey, dill.
Now, this one may be number one on my list. Ham biscuit sandwiches. I am a huge fan of breakfast. Every time we go to lunch, I'm always looking for a breakfast option.
Yeah.
I love biscuits. I love eggs. I love ham. I love cheese. I love
What about
sausage.
What about eggs?
So
Yeah, what
anything
about
that has
eggs?
biscuits incorporated somehow,
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes.
I absolutely agree.
I think biscuits were sent here from God. And
Yeah.
that is a massive yes.
My preferred biscuit meat is sausage, but I'll settle for ham.
Scott, yes,
I'm
no?
out. I'm not a ham guy. I don't like ham so much.
Anytime we get a yes from Scott, that's always an automatic.
Even if Scott says yes and all of us say no, we have
It's
to
got we
count
got to
it.
count it. Yeah. Next up, looks like this is a Nebraska favorite, the Runza.
Ooh.
Nebraska might not be the first place you'd think of for a food adventure, but the Cornhusker State has one thing on lock. It's called the Runza. Ground beef, onions, and cabbage are wrapped in a yeast dough and baked, resulting in a savory pastry that's ideal for a meal on the go.
I've had that, but I've never heard it called that.
That picture
I've had
looks
that.
amazing.
So,
So
beef,
it's-
cabbage, onions, seasoning on a yeast dough bread.
I've had something that looks just like that, and it was really, really good.
Did I say yes? I'm going to try this thing. Yeah.
It looks good. The only thing I don't like about it is the onions. I'm not a huge fan of onions in my sandwiches.
Well,
but
and I thought the same thing about cabbage, Junior, but I'm like, I'd try it though.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, definitely yes. I want to try that immediately.
Scott, would you have eaten this?
No way.
No?
Next up, we have the
Ooh,
pork
pork
roll
rolls.
sandwich,
Yes.
which looks to be a New Jersey favorite,
It's a
but I'm sure
breakfast.
we've all had
Look at
this
that. It's got a
before.
fried
So
egg
good.
on it, Junior.
It looks absolutely delicious. And a Kaiser roll. I love Kaiser rolls. It looks
It's
like
hot.
it's hot because
Okay.
it
That's
Okay.
a hot
is
breakfast
melted.
sandwich. They have a lot of that weird stuff up there. When you get to the Northeast, they got pork roll and they got scrapple.
This looks great.
All right. So, Jesse, you're a yes. Gary?
Yes.
Bob?
Yep.
I would say yes. Scott, would you eat this?
You know what? I would give it a try.
It shocks you. It shocks you.
All right.
Ding,
you
ding,
know what?
ding, ding.
I'm going to start asking Scott first. So that way we can just get all of our voting out of the way. Next up,
Ooh.
we have the Fluffer Nutter.
Fluffer Nutter.
Which
No.
sounds like one of the assistants in a porn shoot. That's their job.
Ah, the Fluffernutter. That distinctively sweet, savory, and sticky sandwich, a mix of peanut butter, marshmallow fluff on white bread. It's particularly popular in New England, having been created just outside of Boston.
Peanut
And-
butter with marshmallow fluff.
Yep.
This is a dessert.
It's kind of peanut butter and jelly-ish, but it's got the marshmallow fluff on it.
A couple of years ago, Peter Chianca from Blogness on the Edge of Town, when the Rangers were playing Boston in a playoff game, we made a bet just for fun. The Rangers lost, of course, so I sent him a bunch of Texas salsa, and he sent me a official New England fluff. It was really good. This seems almost too sweet. This is dessert.
I mean, it's peanut butter and jelly. You make peanut butter and jelly.
I'd do it, yes.
All right, so Jesse, you're a yes. Scott, what about you?
It'd have to be like a dessert kind of a thing.
Gary?
Yes, it's good.
Bob?
I'm going to say no. I'm not a big marshmallow guy. I also am not a big peanut butter guy.
If you're not a big peanut butter guy, then saying no is the right move.
And I am the opposite. I am a huge peanut butter guy.
Me too.
And I would say yes to this. All right, next up, we have the fried egg sandwich, which is another breakfast sandwich. I'm in on anything with eggs, so I'm an automatic yes. Scott?
Breakfast sandwiches are just greatness.
If it's got bacon on there, I'm in.
I think this is a universal breakfast sandwich where you can put any kind of meat in it.
And sourdough bread sounds delicious. This is the reason why I've never tried the lox, is because like when I'm going to Einstein's or some breakfast place, I get it on an everything bagel. And I'm sorry, I still love it. An egg McMuffin from McDonald's. I mean, it's just, there's nothing wrong with that meal.
Quite possibly the best thing on McDonald's menu. That and their biscuit sandwiches. Next up, we have Bob's preferred dating app,
Hoagies and
Grinder.
Hoagies and grinders. Navy beans, navy beans. Hoagies and grinders. Hoagies and grinders. Navy beans, navy beans,
navy beans. For those of you that are following along, if you happen to be in the Northeast, what he's trying to say is grinder.
So it looks
basically
like this,
just a generic sub.
It's the cold cut combo from
Subway.
I would prefer the provolone turkey, salami, and ham all heated and then put on there. I will eat this cold. It will be a second on my choice because I prefer a hot sub instead.
Taste the meat, not the heat.
Taste the meat, not the heat.
I would definitely eat this. I would probably not want the tomatoes, though. I'm not a big fan of tomatoes.
Give them to me.
I think that's subjective. That you can take off those kinds of things. My girlfriend's parents are from Boston. Her dad called all sandwiches grinders.
Yes.
It didn't matter what was on it. All you have in a grinder.
One of the things we routinely get at work is Jersey Mike's, and they put too much oil. I almost cannot eat it because there is so much.
It's like a vinaigrette.
Oil.
The Philly cheesesteak from there is good, but I never let them put anything like that on my sandwich because they put too much.
All right, so we're all yeses. All right, next up, we have the shredded chicken sandwich. This is a Ohio
It
staple.
also almost looks a little bit like a sloppy Joe.
I would eat this, but I need to have some sauce on it.
Yeah, this looks a little dry.
I would put pickles on that, some kind of spicy mustard, or maybe horseradish.
Jesse, Gary, your yeses. Scott?
That right there is exactly how I would eat it.
That's what he wants.
Ooh,
right
so
there.
you're a yes.
Chicken.
All right, so that's an automatic
and
yes.
bread.
We don't even need to
That's
go around
Scott
the horn.
just wants the meat and bread sandwich.
All right, next up, we have the Kentucky Hot Brown.
It's an open-faced turkey sandwich loaded with ooey gooey cheese that's hot out of the broiler, topped with tomatoes and bacon. The story goes, in Louisville, Kentucky, the Brown Hotel wanted something for the late night menu. And sure enough, I can't think of anything better for a late night hankering than a hot brown sandwich.
Is that like a hot Carl?
Have a hot Carl.
Hot browns are very famous.
When we were doing the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, I did not like this sandwich. I thought I would, but I don't know if it's the hot tomato. I would not order it again.
So you're a no, Jesse.
I would order that without tomatoes because I don't like tomatoes on sandwiches, but I really like Kentucky Brown. I've had it.
It looks good. I haven't tried it before, but I'm not a big fan of open face, but I'll give it a shot.
It looks good enough for me to want to eat it, so I'm going to be a yes.
Yeah,
Scott,
it's
just out of
definitely a no on
curiosity,
tomato.
would you eat
As it
this?
stands there, no, I would not eat that.
Well, he's already told you he doesn't like turkey.
See, you got to understand where I come from. Every Thanksgiving, turkey for me always meant they would cut up the turkey and put it on this big platter, and by the time you got to it, it was cold.
Man, they ruined Thanksgiving for you.
That's why I fry my turkeys.
All right, so we have enough to count this one. Next up, we have a Chicago staple, the mother-in-law, which I've never heard of.
A mother-in-law is a tom-tom tamale on a bun, chili, and you have to use two hands and attack it.
Like a mother-in-law.
Like a mother-in-law.
It looks like a hot dog.
It looks terrible.
That is a tamale wrapped
Tamale.
in chili in a hot dog bun.
That didn't look like chili in the picture. It looks like some kind of jelly.
Looks like some kind of vomit.
I say no. This
That
does
looks
not look good
terrible.
to me.
If you gave me a tamale inside of a hot dog bun, covered in chili, I'd try it. But now they put a pickle on it. They put a tomato on it. That chili looks like crap.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a no also. Scott, are
You
you
know
going to
what's funny?
surprise us and say yes to this?
Yeah, Scott's going to go, this looks delicious.
All right, so we will say no to the mother-in-law. Next up, we have the melt sandwich, which is a very generic term. Consists of slices of
grilled cheese
bread
sandwich,
with
right?
cheese
Yeah.
in between, which is weird because I know that grilled cheese is later on this list. So it seems like they're counting this with tuna melts,
Patty melts.
any kind of generic melt. This seems too generic. It's just like coming out and saying meat sandwich or something. I'm going to say no, just because it's too generic.
Melt sandwiches can be filled with a variety of other ingredients. If it's a tuna melt or if it's a patty melt, if all of those are counted right here, then I have to count this because I would count a patty melt.
I agree.
It
I
looks
do
like
not like tuna melts, but I like patty melts as long as it's not on rye bread.
I'm going to stick with no, even though I don't think tuna melt is coming up later. The tuna sandwich is coming up later, but not the tuna melt.
I'm going to say no too.
Junior, did they decide not to put both of them on there because that would have been too much tuna?
That's too much tuna, and we just pranked you, but good.
Next up, we have the Maxwell Street Polish hot dog with onions and peppers. And
I would spill the peppers off of that, but the rest of it looked really, really good.
See,
Polish
you and I are
sausage.
in sync, right? Like I just am not a peppers guy. So as stand, I would say no, but if I could take the peppers off, yeah, great. I'm in.
I'm into. I like Polish sausage. Sounds
Mark,
like a
I'll
Chicago
let
Bears
Jurgen know.
SNL bit.
Who had the bratwurst?
I had the bratwurst.
All right, bratwurst.
I had the Polish sausage.
So, Bob, are you a yes to?
Yeah, I'll count it.
Scott, would you eat a Polish sausage?
I would not eat that.
I've seen Bob one throat one of those things. So
Deep throat. All right, next up, we have a corned beef sandwich, which looks like a Reuben to me. I know that Reuben is coming up later, so this seems like a generic version of a Reuben.
yeah,
I'm going to say no. I've eaten corned beef before, but it's just not something I enjoy very much, and especially when it's off rye.
I'm going to say no because I am going to say yes to the Reuben later. This
Yeah, I
is-
was going to say the same thing. I like the Reuben, but this is like spare generic version of Reuben.
I would say yes to this on the sourdough, but no on the rye. But since we're doing Reuben later, I'll just hold off and say no.
Okay.
Scott, are you a fan of the Reuben?
No, I don't really like rye bread.
What did 12-step ever do to you?
All right, so we're going to say no to the corned beef generic sandwich. Next up, we have the egg salad sandwich.
No. Worst sandwich ever.
I disagree. I like egg salad. That and tuna salad, I think, are really good. I'm a yes. And Gary, you're a yes. Bob, you're a no. Jesse?
I'm going to say a no too. I'm not a big fan of tuna fish sandwich either. I love chicken salad.
I make tuna salad with eggs, so it's eggs and tuna.
Scott, what would you think?
Nope.
Next up, we have a Puerto Rican staple. How about the tripleta?
The tripleta sandwich is basically our pan sobao.
It has pernil inside. Some people call it lechon, but it's a roast pork. There's also steak and chicken, well marinated inside. We have lettuce in it, fresh cut. We also put potato sticks and our mayo ketchup sauce, which is also known as our triple threat sauce.
Lettuce,
Big yes.
cabbage, tomatoes, onions.
That's a hell yes.
You kind of core out the French bread, stuff it in there, and like toast it or something. I'm in.
Up.
This is like a Cali burrito, but it's a sandwich.
Yeah, I
I'm on
love
board
this
with
thing.
everything except for the ketchup. Get the ketchup out of there, and I'm in.
All right,
I'm
so
in.
Bob, you're a yes. Jesse, you're a yes.
Yes.
Gary?
Not only am I a yes, I'm going to find one of these.
Scott,
Tripleta.
would you eat
Not
this?
A chance. Not a chance.
It's way too busy for Scott.
You know what, Scott? I'm with you. This is like too
No.
busy. It's
Junior,
too much.
you know it's going to be delicious.
You want to know why this is a no for Junior? Because every time we go somewhere, what does he do? He did it on Saturday. He
I
eats
eat the fries
French fries, then he eats the hamburger. He's got no interest in eating them at the same time.
Well, I was going to say that
It's an
they're
excellent
guaranteed
point.
hot, Junior.
If I was eating this, I would have to open it up, take the fries out, and eat them first.
Jesse and Scott, don't you think that's psychotic behavior that he eats all of his fries before he takes one bite of his burger?
Yeah, I have to do mix them up. In fact, I was going to ask the question.
There is sound logic to my process.
I prefer to mix it up.
Fries get cold faster and they do not reheat well. So if you're going to enjoy your fries, you got to eat them as quickly as possible because once they go cold, that's it. You can't nuke fries.
You just eat too slow, Junior.
So, Junior, you said you could spend the rest of your life eating nothing but sandwich. Chips or fries as the side?
I would go chips because fries to me are burgers.
Well, isn't a burger a sandwich?
Theoretically, yes.
It
but
absolutely is.
I'm
But it's also a
thinking more
burger.
of the traditional sandwich.
Okay.
All right. So we are going to say yes to the tripletta. Next up, we have the roast pork sandwich, melted provolone
Served in a
cheese.
dirty ashtray?
Now,
How about a nice, greasy pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray?
I will say I am put off by this broccoli Robbie, whatever that is.
It's just small broccoli.
Gross. That ruined it for me. I'm a no.
If that's got to have mushrooms on it, I'm a no. But without the
Dang it.
mushrooms, I would eat that.
Mushrooms,
mushrooms are a
greatness.
deal breaker,
No.
as is the broccoli.
Look, Bob, you Jackson Pollock to Chick-fil-A because of mushrooms.
Yeah, for as much damage as mushrooms do to your insides, Bob, I don't understand this abusive relationship you have with mushrooms. You know they're going to hurt you.
Not anymore. That was back when I was 300.
So now
They don't
you're
do that anymore.
immune to mushroom?
Yeah, I've developed mushroom immunity.
I'm going to say no. Jesse, what do you think?
It just does not look good to me.
I would have said yes, but those are mushrooms. I'm out.
I'm out because of the broccoli.
Not
Scott,
gonna
would
use
you
an
eat this?
exemption.
Not a chance.
No way, Bob. No way Scott eats that.
All right, next up, we have the Italian Stallion Sandwich.
Which
Exactly what are you looking for, Apollo? This is what I'm looking for. The Italian Stallion.
how is this different from the grinder?
This looks like a cold muffalata.
I'm a fan of the Italian sandwich. Usually when I go to Subway, the spicy Italian is my go-to.
Okay.
And this is pretty similar to that. I would cut bait on all of the vegetables, but I would definitely eat this sandwich.
I'm going to say yes.
Gary?
For about 30, 35 years of my life, I would have said hell no to that sandwich. But something's happened to me as I've gotten a little bit older. And even with all of those veggies on it, that looks so good.
So you're a yes. Bob?
Yeah, I'm a yes. It's not my favorite, but I'll eat it.
Scott, would you eat this?
No, I'm not going to eat that.
Next up, and this is near and dear to my heart, the greatness of the Count of Monte Cristo Fisto.
The Count of Monte Cristo.
This used to be a staple at the Greatness of Bennigan's before they went under.
The greatness of Bennigan's, yes.
And if you've never had or heard of a Monte Cristo sandwich, let me briefly explain it to you. It is a triple-decker sandwich with ham and American cheese on one side, turkey and Swiss cheese on the other side. The entire sandwich is then dipped in a batter, deep fried, topped with powdered sugar, and served with raspberry preserves.
You're going to use an exemption on this if we vote no, right?
Yeah,
It's going in anyway.
Yeah, I would use an exemption if I had to, but I think everybody's on board with this,
Oh, yeah.
right?
So this is not a sandwich I like.
It shocks you. It shocks you.
Whoa!
The sweetness combined with the meat and the sugar, I think I should like it.
What's on
But
it?
I just, when I've had it, I
Powdered
don't
sugar.
like it.
I'm with Jesse. Like, it looks good. And actually it tastes good, but I can never eat more than 2 bites without feeling like I'm becoming like diabetic.
That's not the question. The question is, do you like that sandwich? You just said you liked it. You just don't eat
you don't
the
have
whole
to
thing.
eat it all at once. Like when I order a Monte Cristo, that's a 3-day meal. Like I'll eat a third of it here, a third of it the next day, a third of it the next day.
Deep fried is such overkill on this, though.
No, it is delicious.
I love Bob's wiggle squiggle lines. Hey, does this song count? Yeah, I've heard of it. That counts. Does this sandwich count? Well, it tastes really good, but I can't eat very much of it, so no.
Yeah, my
No,
stomach
I'll
can't
count-
handle it, so
I'll
I'm going
count
to say
it.
no.
I'll
I mean,
count
it wouldn't have mattered. I was going to use an exemption either way.
That's yes.
And I will say, since Bennigan's went under, my next restaurant that has the Monte Cristo that's my go-to is Cheddar's.
Cheddar's is where How Many was born.
The official public How Many
Yes.
was born at a Cheddar's as I was downing a Monte Cristo. Scott, would you eat a Monte Cristo?
Nope.
All right. Next up, we have the pastrami on rye. I mean,
It
pastrami's
literally
okay.
says pastrami on rye. You
They-
made me pick a bread choice.
It's one of the
Yeah.
most sensuous of the salted cured meats.
I find the pastrami to be the most sensual of all the salted cured meats.
You know, I've tried multiple times and I just do not like rye bread.
I actually
It's,
had that at what's the famous deli in New York?
Carnegie's or
Carnegie.
something.
I had that at Carnegie Deli. It was terrible.
Any sandwich where the condiment is the best thing about the sandwich is not a good sandwich.
The mustard.
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't want to get gout. I'm going to say no also.
Okay, Bobby Hill.
Now hold on. Maybe turf toe was a pipe dream, but gout? That's an old man's disease.
Hey, I'm not going to tell you it's normal for a 12-year-old boy to get gout, but it happens.
Scott, would you eat a pastrami on rye?
No. Okay, if you took the bread and if you used sourdough bread and you got rid of the mustard. And
I'm sensing a theme. Scott likes sourdough.
Oh my goodness. Next up, the bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich.
This seems
oh
like
my
such
God.
a This seems like such a copy paste of the
fried egg
It's not.
sandwich.
This is specifically on an English muffin. The other one was not.
I'm going to shoehorn in anything breakfast related, even though this one has Swiss cheese. Apparently, I'm not the biggest fan of Swiss cheese, but all of the other ingredients counteract.
I'm in.
That's a yes.
Yeah, it looks great.
I'm in.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, I think this is Bob's go-to. The meatball sub sandwich.
It's definitely top 5.
Oh yeah.
Every time we've gone to Subway, you've partaken in the meatball.
I'm a huge fan of meatball sandwiches. Definitely my top 5.
And it's a good Bill Murray movie too.
Yeah, I like extra sauce on the side.
Scott, are you a fan of the meatball?
But not a chance. No, I mean,
Really?
a meatball sandwich? No way. I'll eat a meatball in spaghetti. Where it belongs.
I like the meatball sandwich too. I'm going to say yes. But one of the sickest food poisoning times I've ever experienced was when I had a meatball sub. And I don't know if maybe the marinara sauce was bad or something, but boy, it was coming out of both ends all night long. And
All night long.
Yeah, it was all Lionel Richie all the time.
All night long.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, next up, and I guess Patty Melt did make another appearance. It looks like it's got a burger, fried onions, melted cheese. Patty Melt is basically a hamburger, so I'm going to say yes.
If we can change this to sourdough, yes, because I love the grilled onions, the melted cheese.
Yeah, if I could do sourdough, I'm in. I'm usually not a huge fan of grilled onions, but it works on a Patty Melt.
When I was a kid, they would make the Patty Melt on pieces of white bread.
Somebody that I follow on Twitter kept saying over and over again about Whataburger, the best thing they have is their Patty Melt. I finally broke down about maybe 2-3 months ago, and I got a Patty Melt. It is so good.
Is it?
Texas toast, right?
Yeah, it is. Texas toast.
Yeah, I love a lot of their specialties. I love Whataburger.
All right, so I think we're all in agreement. The Patty Melt is in. Next up, we have, one of my favorites.
Sloppy Joe. Sloppy Joe. Sloppy Joe.
And I made them extra sloppy.
I made them extra sloppy for you.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of Sloppy Joe. When it was Sloppy Joe Day at school in the cafeteria, I was always first in line.
Linda may want this once a year, and I would do it every couple of weeks if I would. I love it.
Junior, you were never second.
I was never sloppy seconds. I love having them with potato chips and then scooping up the remnants of the meat.
I love fries, but you're right. That chip's kind of like where you're doing the nacho.
Scott, do you like the Sloppy Joe?
The Sloppy Joe, it's just so
sloppy, messy.
I don't like to bite into my sandwich and have the stuff go squirting out the back or the sides.
Scott needs a tidy Joe.
He needs a tidy Joe, yes.
Next up, we have the muffaletta, which is a New Orleans staple.
So the legend of the muffaletta sandwich supposedly started over 100 years ago in the French Quarter. The name of the bread became the name of the sandwich. So what's in this sandwich? Well, it's a salad of olives and other vegetables with plenty of olive oil. That is laid on top of salami, mortadella, imported ham, Swiss and provolone cheeses.
I like the muffaletta, but that olive salad that they include in it, I'm not a huge fan of, but I can fight through it and still enjoy a muffaletta.
I love a muffaletta. If you're in New Orleans and you get a traditional, like from the Market Deli, it's good. But even Jason's Deli's muffaletta is good. I love that sandwich.
Yep. Love a muffaletta and love a lot of muff.
Gary, are you yes on the muffaletta?
Yeah, I am, except for when Bob starts making hair on your food jokes.
Scott, are you a fan of the muffaletta? That olive salad has got to be a deal breaker for you, Scott, right?
Oh, it so is.
All right, so we'll say yes to the muffaletta. How about the tuna sandwich? I like tuna sandwiches, but you have to have a lot of mayo and you have to have a lot
Now,
of
is
mustard.
tuna salad on the sandwich, or is the tuna and tuna salad the same thing? Because they're not the same thing.
I think they're considering this and tuna salad the same.
I always think of them the same.
It has to have all of the condiments intermixed,
celery
the
and
relish.
everything.
Celery, I'm not a huge fan of, but it's got to have some kind of pickle form in it, some egg. Let's just pretend this says tuna salad, because I don't think anybody would just eat a tuna sandwich.
Yeah, this is one of those things where
Scott would. That's why he's raising his hand.
yeah, about once a year, just for a change of pace. It's not my absolute favorite, but yeah.
I would eat a tuna melt. I love tuna salad, and I will eat tuna straight out of the can, but I would not take tuna out of the can and put it on a sandwich and eat it.
Okay, then let's do this.
I'm not saying yes
we'll
to
have the
this,
tuna
no.
salad be an honorable mention after the list. And we'll say yes because Scott said yes to this one. Next up, we have the chicken sandwich. This just seems like a generic roasted or grilled chicken.
Yeah, boneless chicken fillet, various toppings and bread.
Not breaded.
I say yes, although it says shredded, deep fried, roasted, or grilled.
This looks too generic. I'm going to say no.
That's a yes.
All right, so Jesse, you're a yes. Gary,
yeah, I'm a
you're a
yes.
Bob.
Yeah.
Scott, would you eat this?
If you take the lettuce and tomatoes away, yeah. Because my staple sandwich at Tolbert's is grilled chicken sandwich with bacon.
Then yes,
Oh,
this
I'm
is
sorry,
definitely a
good.
yes for you. Next up is the breakfast sandwich, but we've kind of already talked about the breakfast sandwich so much. It looks delicious. What we're looking at here, even though it's weird to have lettuce in a breakfast sandwich,
This is one of the 50, so we have to count it. But it does seem like they've
stretched out the amount of breakfast
Yes,
sandwich
like-
options. Fried egg, then a bacon, egg, and cheese,
yes,
then a
then
biscuit
Different though, because
sandwich.
each one of these has had a different kind of bread, and
Yeah,
the bread
so
on
maybe
this makes
that's
this very different.
I can't turn my back on any breakfast, so
Yeah.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
I would probably get rid of the lettuce and tomato, but it's good.
Scott, would you eat this?
If you took the lettuce and the green stuff off, yeah, because then it's just basically bacon burrito.
Now, Scott,
and bread.
it's weird because lettuce doesn't really have any taste to it.
It's a
Even if I
texture
were to,
thing, man.
it's
It's a
weird,
texture
but
thing.
It's a texture. Scott's right. There's texture things though, because like I don't dislike coconut. I like the flavor of coconut, but I don't like shaved coconut in anything.
It's
too
like
stringy.
having a piece of your grandmother's hair in your mouth.
All right, so we're going to say yes to the breakfast sandwich. How about the French dip sandwich?
Yes.
One of my favorites.
The French dip is a very simple sandwich. It's traditionally made with roast beef on a French roll. You can add cheese to it, but it was created here as an accident. So Philippe, in 1918, he accidentally dropped a roll in the pan drippings of the beef he was cooking, and the customer was in a hurry, took the sandwich as it was, and came back the next day requesting it be dipped. So that was really the birth of the French dip, a happy accident.
I am not the biggest French dip guy.
What?
What?
I
Yeah.
won't dip it, but that sandwich, even with that dip sitting there on the side and I never touch it,
Dip
is
it good.
awesome.
I end up drinking the juice sometimes. Yeah, I love this.
All right,
Yeah,
so Jesse,
that's
you're a
good
yes.
sandwich.
Gary,
Scott,
you're a
this
yes.
is pretty much just meat and cheese, Scott.
Yeah, minus the mustard, I'm in.
You like
And
the
this is-
the au jus gravy?
I'll pour a little bit of it on. I don't dip it because I don't like the bread to get soggy.
This is one of the exceptions where I don't mind that the roast beef is a little more rare.
And I
like
am
that.
putting horseradish on that too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're going to say yes to the French dip. Next up, we have the Italian beef.
Yes.
Another Chicago staple.
Delicious.
Dude, that's a salad in a bowl.
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of with Scott. All of those
Oh.
vegetables and
So good.
peppers and onions and whoa.
Now I can see why Scott's been very consistent on this,
Yeah.
but I like that kind of stuff because those peppers, those are sweet. And so it's almost like pickles. And I love pickles, but Scott doesn't like pickles. I would eat this just like it is with no mustard, no mayo, no nothing, just like that.
Jesse, what about you?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Eddie Grisham found a place here in Dallas that had authentic Chicago style. Yeah, I think this is a great sandwich.
It's still a yes. I think I would have voted no too, but we have enough votes. All right, next up, the peanut butter and jelly classic sandwich.
Yes.
I'm a fan of peanut butter and jelly. I'm always down for a PB&J.
There are some nights where Linda's out of town and it's like I don't feel like cooking. I get out 4 pieces of bread, maybe toast them, maybe not toasted, peanut butter, jelly, glass of milk, and that's dinner.
So with peanut butter and jelly, a glass of milk, or the milk after you finished a really good bowl of cereal,
Yes.
that milk in either one of those scenarios
Yes.
Yeah.
is so much better than milk any other way.
I love the PB&J. If you add some bananas to it, that makes it even better.
What's your jelly? Go across the.
I'm a grape guy.
Yeah,
Classic
grape.
Concord.
My grandmother used to jar pear preserves with peanut butter. Oh,
I'm a fan of the peach preserve. That is delicious. Bob,
so-
are you a fan of the PB&J?
I'm counting it, but it's not my favorite.
I have a big jar of grape jelly. I have a big jar of strawberry jelly. And I have a small jar. Every once in a while, I'm just kind of in the mood for blackberry jam.
Scott, are you a fan of the PB&J?
The way I make my PB&Js, first of all, you use 3 pieces of bread.
3?
Yep.
3 pieces
It's
of
like
bread.
a Big
You
Mac.
Separate the peanut butter and
You
the
put
jelly?
your peanut butter in there, your jelly on there, put a piece of bread on top of that.
Yep.
You put more peanut butter, more jelly, and another piece of bread on
You're
top.
just
Big Mac.
layering
Yeah,
two
it's a Big
peanut butter and
Mac.
jelly
Big Mac.
sandwiches.
Because one peanut butter sandwich is never enough. You got to have 2.
Yeah.
And if you want to take it to the next level, you toast the bread.
and I will tell you, it needs to be on Wonder White bread or
You know
whatever.
what's funny is I agree with you, but in the morning, sometimes for breakfast, 100% whole wheat toast, one slice with a little bit of peanut butter on it, and that's breakfast. But if I'm eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, it needs to be white bread.
And I like the song. It's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Way. Peanut butter jelly with a baseball bat. It's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Way. Peanut butter jelly with a baseball bat. So next up, we have the generic hoagie sandwich. We've seen iterations of this 4 times already on this list.
This is exactly the same.
This is the third iteration of that. The only reason that I would say this is different, and I'm not saying that we have to count it, it's a different bread. It doesn't have mortadella on it. And this one has the red vinegar and oil. If y'all going to skip this one and say no, that's fine with me.
So this is the vinegar strokes version?
Just so your dad's vinegar strokes saw into his soul. Not good.
I'm willing to throw the flag also. Are we all no's?
We can
That's a no. That's a no.
All right, next up. Ooh, we have the greatness of the po' boy sandwich.
Yes.
Gotta keep them separated.
I got to keep them separated. If you don't keep them separated, they're going to eat themselves. They're going to eat themselves.
Another New Orleans staple. Shrimp po' boys, fried fish po' boys.
So now Scott loves sourdough bread. This is my bread. Baguette bread is my bread. I
It's a
love
good
baguette.
bread.
And I will tell you, where did we used to go?
Shuck and jive.
Shuck and jive.
Yeah, and they would have the shrimp po' boys on special with the remoulade sauce.
Yes, gotta have remoulade sauce.
I love a shrimp po' boy, catfish po' boy.
I think this encompasses all of them.
So it's definitely yes for Jesse and for me.
Bob, are you a fan of the po' boy?
Yes.
Scott?
I am a fan of the po' boy.
All right, now we are getting into the top 10
top 10,
sandwiches.
yes.
Starting with the Cubano sandwich, which I am a fan of.
According to local lore, the Cuban was created here to satisfy the appetites of cigar factory workers logging long hours.
It was an easy way for them to get lunch. It was substantial, but it didn't necessarily put them to sleep.
Obviously the Cuban bread being the Cubans, the ham being the Spaniards, the pork being the Cubans once again, the salami being the Italians, and then the yellow mustard and the pickles being the Germans. And then I like to say that the Swiss cheese kind of represents Ybor City, which was the melting pot that brought all these different cultures together.
Massive fan.
I've eaten this, and I guess I must have had a bad one. I think I got it at an airport or somewhere we were traveling, and I got it. It wasn't
airport
good.
sandwiches.
Yeah.
That's not a good start.
The first one I ever had was in Miami. It was unbelievable.
It's delicious. It's a big yes for me.
Yeah.
Scott, are you a fan of the Cubano?
No.
See, it's too much.
Pickles. He doesn't like
Too
pickles.
much.
A Cuban isn't a Cuban without pickles. But
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you gotta have the pickles. All right, next up. Whoa, this is all millennialed up here. Avocado toast. That's not a sandwich.
That's not a sandwich to me either.
That's like an appetizer.
And for it to be in the top 10, that's ridiculous.
I'm
Bogus
gonna say
list,
no.
bogus list.
Scott, would you say yes to the avocado toast?
It's funny because I love avocado and I love toast, but I'm out on that.
It's not a sandwich. It's like making a piece of toast.
Fold it over, but it's avocado
agree.
toast.
Yeah.
All right. So next up, we have definitely a fan favorite. The greatness of the Maine lobster roll.
Nothing says summer in New England quite like a lobster roll. And with all due respect to Connecticut's warm, buttered approach, Maine's version of the iconic seafood sandwich, toasted bun, cold lobster, maybe a little bit of mayo, is just that, iconic. That's because lobster is basically Maine's state mascot. They catch more of them here than they do anywhere else in the country, and it defines the cuisine.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, that's really good.
Bread is so good, man.
So much booter.
Best one of those I ever had was in Moncton, up in New Brunswick.
This is good.
So good.
So how is that not a po' boy?
One of the big differences is the way that the meat's done. Po' boys are almost always deep fried.
Yeah, and plus the bread is different. Like a lobster roll has really soft bread.
Yes,
a po'
it is.
boy has really hard
Instead of
bread.
the hard bread, this is almost like
King's
really
Hawaiian,
gourmet hot dog bun. You split in half and you put it in there.
All right, so I think we're a yes to the lobster roll. All right, how about the club sandwich?
To me, a club sandwich is 3 pieces of bread, ham, turkey, cheese, mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, bacon.
It is when we are on vacation and it's late at night, one of the best go-tos is I'll just get a club sandwich. And
It's one of the safest things you can
yeah.
get.
And, cut up in 4 with the toothpicks, and whether it comes with fries or chips, club sandwich is definitely one of my top 5 sandwiches.
And they follow Scott's PB&J construction blueprint.
Yes.
The extra, the Big Mac structure. Yeah, I'm a big yes to the club sandwich as well. Gary's a yes. Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
Not a chance.
Oh, man.
If Scott were to deconstruct that, there was chicken and there was bacon and there was 3 pieces of bread.
That's right.
He probably
The lettuce
could
and
get
the
a sandwich
tomato
he would
kills
like
it.
out of it.
All right,
It's
next
the
up,
chicken and
we have the Philadelphia staple, the
Number
greatness
one.
of the cheesesteak.
A cheesesteak is the ultimate work hard, play hard, late night, tailgate, guilty pleasure, best buds indulgence. The classic cheesesteak. Thinly sliced ribeye, gooey cheese, soft and sweet browned onions, all cradled in a fresh long roll.
So good that Gary will eat it even though it's got Philly in the name.
Even I will go to Philly to eat it.
Back when Gina used to visit, she'd come back and bring those. I mean, they were a day old that you nuked, and it was like heaven.
Of all the places that I went to when I worked in Philly, it was a place called, I think it's Jack's Steaks and Sodas.
Yeah.
So if you ever find yourself in Philly, find yourself a Jack's. That is
because
the best
aren't
cheese
Geno's and Pat's like basically
just
tourist
tourist.
traps?
It's just tourist crap.
But I will tell you, right? Even you go to a generic, it's good.
Gary, do you love the cheesesteak so much that if somebody said, if you do not eat cheesesteaks from here forward, the Eagles will never win a Super Bowl for as long as you abstain from cheesesteaks?
They're done.
And I think it's time for a little suck it, Philly.
Oh, yeah. No, I thought chanted.
Suck it, Philly. Suck it, Philly.
I mean, I've given you 50 other options.
Yeah, that's true. We can do it there.
Scott, are you a fan of the cheesesteak?
No.
So next up, the generic roast beef sandwich. That is basically an Arby's. So I could have swore we saw this earlier.
Well, the one that we saw earlier really was an Arby's, and this is like an Arby's Deluxe because it's got the lettuce and the tomato, and it's a different bun.
I guess we could do the same flag, but it isn't exactly the same as everything else like the others.
Are we saying yes to the roast beef?
I say yay.
Bob?
Yes.
Scott?
If it's the Arby's roast beef, I'm eating it.
Anytime Scott's a yes, that's an automatic. Next up, the submarine sandwich. Really?
Generic. Oh, that's 4 of the same kind of sandwich.
Yeah.
Meats, cheeses, sauces, vegetables, as generic as you can get.
It doesn't specify the bread. The other 2 are both Italian bread, and that picture is not Italian bread. But
So, and it does say that, right? Like it's called a grinder. It's a hero. It's a sub. In New Orleans, we call it a po' boy. This is
generic.
very generic. Yeah, I would say no.
I'm going to say no.
yeah, we said no to the other one. We can say no to this one.
Yeah.
All right,
No, dude.
we're getting down to the top 3. We have the greatness of the Reuben sandwich, which I'm a huge fan of the Reuben.
A Reuben, defined, is made of rye bread, corned beef, sauerkraut, and Swiss cheese, heated and pressed. Reuben Kulikovsky's family from Omaha, Nebraska, say that he spirited the sublime sandwich. Their story goes that chef and hotelier Bernard Schimmel brought a deli tray down to his poker-playing pals, and Reuben created the sandwich from those ingredients.
The Reuben sandwich from Jason's Deli, man, that's usually my go-to when I go there.
This is the only sandwich I'll make a rye exception for.
I was about to say the same thing. We talked about this earlier, and I was out on the rye bread. But when you add the sauerkraut and the Russian dressing, it's different.
It has to be toasted, though.
This is not a sandwich I like. I'm not a big sauerkraut fan. I don't like the rye bread, so I'm going to vote no. I don't disagree with its place and the top. This is a classic sandwich. It's just not something I like.
All right, so Jesse, you're a no. Bob, you're a yes.
Yep.
As long as it's toasted. Gary, you're a yes. I'm a huge yes. Okay. Scott,
I am not ordering that off the IHOP.
I mean, at IHOP, I'm getting a pancake. So
yeah, IHOP is not the central headquarters of sandwiches. So next up, we have the BLT sandwich, which I am not a huge fan of the BLT because it's not enough protein and there's no cheese.
Oh, first of all, you just need more bacon.
Yeah,
so it's just lots of beef.
I mean, bacon is just not enough.
More bacon. For
so
me.
I disagree.
Bacon's a side meat, Junior?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's an entree meat. It feels like
Junior is bacon.
I usually will get a club instead of the BLT, but there is something about the Drunken Donkey BLT and just the simplicity of the hot bacon, the cold lettuce, tomato, that mayo, and toasted bread. This is a really great sandwich.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love bacon. But bacon to me is
like
a complimentary item on top of a
sound like
meat.
a hater.
Like bacon on a burger is great. Bacon as part of a club is great. Bacon on an egg sandwich is great.
Just give me all the bacon and eggs you have. Wait. I worry what you just heard was, give me a lot of bacon and eggs. What I said was, give me all the bacon and eggs you have.
McAllister's Deli has a really good one, and their bacon is excellent.
So, and I would do this, but I would have a BLB, which is double bacon with the lettuce, but no tomatoes because I don't like tomatoes on a sandwich. So,
yeses all around. Scott,
I love a bacon sandwich. And that is, it's just bacon.
Bacon and just on toast.
So you just want the B. Just give me the B sandwich.
Tell you what, this one day when we were in Galveston, I was on the beach. I went down and I set up our camp before everybody else got down there. And my wife comes down and she's got me 2 bacon sandwiches and a big bowl of hot mac and cheese and a big iced tea. I was a king.
Now, Scott, would you like it if it was like just bread and bacon and cheese?
I haven't.
Are you a fan of the BBC?
It would depend on what kind of cheese it is, obviously.
So we have number 1, the grilled cheese sandwich.
Okay, so how is this different than the melt?
Well, because it doesn't have any protein in it.
Yeah,
It's
grilled cheese.
But we didn't count the melt because we got talked into we're going to have grilled cheese later.
Grilled cheese is something that I don't think about all the time, but every once in a while around the house, like Linda's, I don't know what we want. I'm like, well, do you want me to make you a grilled cheese? Yes. And there is that, put that butter in the skillet, whether it's white bread or multigrain bread, you put that. Kraft American Singles is great, but even if you want to do, well, I've got some Swiss and I've got some pepper jack.
I'll
do a little mixture and then just over and make sure you don't burn the bread. It is good. I'm not a fan of tomato soup. I know that's the big thing, like tomato soup and grilled cheese.
It's the only way I'll eat tomato soup. When I was a kid, sometimes we would have grilled cheese and tomato soup for dinner. And in that scenario, I'd have a little thing of soup and I would dip the sandwich in it like everybody else.
Yeah.
But if I'm making it, I don't bother with tomato soup because I don't need it.
Yeah.
But every year, as soon as it gets cold, the first time it rains, so a rainy, cold day, that is what I'm going to eat.
You want to take it to the next level, add some bacon to the grilled cheese?
I mean,
sounds like a different sandwich to me. But
I've done grilled ham and cheese. It's good. There is something that's simplicity of the cheese.
Yep.
All right. So, Jesse, you're a yes. Gary, you're a yes. Bob?
Yeah, I'm a yes.
Scott?
I've made lots of them, and I've never eaten one.
What?
I make them for Gina. She loves grilled cheese sandwiches. but I've never eaten one because it just seems blah.
I am a huge fan of grilled cheese, and like you were saying, Jesse, if you take it to the next level and start adding different cheeses and mixing them together, like some Swiss, some American, some cheddar,
Maybe some
Gouda.
provolone.
Oh
Yeah, provolone,
man,
yes,
you're
absolutely.
talking next tier greatness right there.
And every once in a while we'll be at a restaurant, Linda's like not what sure to eat, and she'll like, can you make me like an advanced grilled cheese? And I'm like, well, sure. And so they'll put like every cheese they have.
All right, so we have gotten through our list.
So I have one, and this is, as a kid, I ate a ton of bologna sandwiches, right?
Yep.
Like I could not stand the thought of another bologna sandwich unless you pan fry it.
So
and for
fried
some reason,
bologna.
fried bologna sandwich between two breads I love that.
So Junior, it doesn't have to be fried. It's just bologna sandwiches. Fried or
Okay,
not.
so I'm a fan of bologna sandwich. I would count that.
Yeah, I'm definitely counting that.
Yeah.
Speaking of fried meats, what do you guys think of the fried Spam sandwich?
It's not something I eat all the time, but every once in a while, it's good. It's kind of like fried bologna.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
The
It's
only
not much
way I'll
different.
eat Spam. That was one of those things my dad would cook when I was a kid, and I hated Spam. If we were camping, he would just open up the tin and we would eat it, and I hated it.
I don't want any spam.
Yeah.
But when we were at home and he sliced it and fried it and we made sandwiches out of it, I really, really liked that.
All right, I would say yes to the fried Spam too. What do you guys think of the deviled ham kind of canned meat
Potted
sandwiches?
I could use me another 6 or 8 cans of that potted meat. You got any extra?
Oh yeah, the deviled ham's good.
Potted meat.
Boy, I ate that so much as a kid, so I'm out.
I would only eat that on a cracker. I don't like it as a sandwich.
I'm a fan of the deviled ham on the sandwich.
And by the way, a friend of ours made us some tuna salad. He usually does chicken salad, which will have like bits of apple and grapes and everything in it. It's some pecans, which on bread is great. But he did some tuna salad and he included a roll of Ritz crackers, and I ate the crap out of that. It was just putting that tuna on the Ritz cracker and eating it was just, I had that for lunch one day and it was awesome.
Hey, speaking of chicken salad, Jesse, was that on the list?
It was not.
No.
So that was definitely one we can add as an honorable mention. Is everybody a fan of chicken salad?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am.
I like it better than tuna salad and egg salad. I love chicken salad.
They're about equal to me, but I love them both. So we'll say yes to chicken salad, but we said no to deviled ham.
Another one that's not on the list is the banh mi.
I've got that one on my list too.
Yeah, I think it's not on this list because probably it's not an American
Yeah.
sandwich. So what's in it?
Like anything else you've had at an Asian place where they might put kimchi on it or something. It's just
Out on
like
kimchi.
It's sort of an Asian version of a Cuban.
Okay, so
Yes,
you're a yes
yes.
for this one?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really good.
Jesse, have you had that before?
I have, and I would say yes.
That's enough to get it in.
How about
Now-
pimento cheese sandwiches?
Ah,
No.
I like pimento cheese with crackers sometimes, but
Yeah,
not
I
as
do
a whole
too.
sandwich.
I do that as a dip more than I do a sandwich. I agree.
meatloaf sandwich.
Meatloaf sandwich.
Meatloaf sandwich.
Yes, so good.
I am a fan of the meatloaf sandwich.
Yeah, I
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Did we decide tuna melt is the same as the other thing or is different?
The melt, and I think we got to go back and say yes. to
So
that
tuna
if
melt.
you like, I'm not a tuna melt person, but if you guys do, yeah.
All right,
I'm a
so-
yes on tuna melt. So it's yes on
Yeah.
meatloaf.
And yes on tuna melt. Is there any other ones that we forgot?
Okay. Hot ham and cheese, is that different?
I would say yes, because that's
Like
different from the
specifically
hoagie
Sonic-
submarine.
Right. When I was a kid and I worked at Sonic, one of the sandwiches they sold was just a hot ham and cheese. And it's another one that I still make on a pretty regular basis.
And I also think just the plain ham sandwich. I'll never. We were like at some deli that had sandwiches, and Chris ended up ordering a ham sandwich. And he's like, "We could have eaten this at the house. I think we just paid $8 for something that
Gordon sometimes talks about when he's driving on 35 South, he'll pass Robertson's and get the ham sandwich with the butter on the bread. I tried that one time. I was not that impressed with it. I prefer mayonnaise.
I know one we used to eat a lot when we would go to lunch at Fox and Hound is that Black Forest, but I don't know if that's just specific to them or if that's a universal sandwich.
That was a great sandwich.
On the
That
pretzel roll?
yeah,
on
the
the
pretzel
pretzel.
roll with the turkey and then the bacon on top.
All right, so we're going to say yes to the hot ham and cheese. Is there any other ones?
I like the Scott sandwich.
What's that?
4 boobs and I'm the meat.
Can I get one of those without the Scott?
Junior, we did forget one of the best sandwiches, the wish sandwich. You got two pieces of bread and you wish you had some meat.
Have you ever heard of a wish sandwich? A wish sandwich is the kind of a sandwich where you have 2 slices of bread and you wish you had some meat. Bow, bow, bow.
Yeah, I'll never forget when I was a kid. I was in high school and my stepsister was visiting and she had a tomato sandwich. She just got white bread, put mayonnaise, and put fresh 2 slices of tomatoes. And I was like, what is the purpose without any meat?
My grandmother would make those. It was just lettuce, tomatoes, cheese, and mayonnaise.
We would go up and stay with my grandparents, and my granddad would take my brother and I fishing. Getting on lunchtime, and my brother and I are kids, and we're like, okay, when are we going to go back and get some food? And my granddad pops out a loaf of bread and a can of pork and beans.
I made a pork and beans sandwich.
Do any of you ever eat a spaghetti sandwich?
No.
I've not done that.
I've had a mashed
Spaghetti
potato
sandwiches are
sandwich.
so good.
Vienna sausage, right? You'd open up the can and put those and put them in between the white bread. I did that as a kid.
There's a German restaurant in Fredericksburg that has a bratwurst sandwich that's awesome.
Yeah, and the chicken fried steak didn't make the list. I guess maybe that's
I
chicken
forgot
fried
about
steak
that.
sandwich.
Chicken fried steak sandwich.
Yes.
The dude.
That's massive. That's
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to add that as an
That's
option.
my DQ go-to.
I think the pork sandwich, like a veal cutlet, or like at a German restaurant where they'll take the winter schnitzel, the fried pork
schnitzel.
Like a schnitzel,
schnitzel onto that.
Was there a pulled pork sandwich?
Nope.
They did not have pulled pork. No.
The closest thing they had was that chicken sandwich.
That
you
chicken
said yes
sandwich,
to.
yeah. So, and I
The pulled
yeah,
pork is definitely different.
They may have had pulled pork nachos, but not a pulled pork sandwich.
Okay,
Add your
Pulled pork nachos.
All right, so I'm going to add that in. Pulled pork. All right,
is
so let's
good.
start adding up these totals. While I'm doing that, just what is everybody's number one?
I'm torn between
Okay.
hot Philly cheesesteak, cold club.
And Gary, you said the Philly cheesesteak, right?
Philly cheesesteak.
Bob?
Probably the Cuban.
Scott, you just
Mine is not
2
on
pieces of dry bread and
No,
a slice of
no.
turkey.
2 pieces of sourdough bread are toasted in butter, grilled chicken, and bacon, then salt and pepper.
No cheese?
No cheese.
Cheese is depends on how I feel that day.
I'm tempted to say the Monte Cristo just as a bit.
The Count of Monte Cristo.
No,
But-
that's actually your favorite.
I mean, it's my favorite if it's available, but it's so rare to see that on a menu.
Before you guys do the count, can I ask you about one more sandwich that we didn't talk about?
And by the way, I'm going to change
Yes.
mine. Shrimp po' boy would be number one for
Oh,
me. I think, yeah,
that's good.
yeah, shrimp po' boy, yeah.
Up in Philly, one of the big things that they make up there is a chicken pizza cheesesteak. It has the cheese and the chicken, and then they'll throw pepperonis in there with it while they're cooking it. And then they put some marinara on it when it goes onto the bread.
That
Now,
sounds
see,
delicious.
that
It's
sounds
so
delicious.
good.
Kind of like a veal Parmesan sandwich, because that
Speaking of
does
which-
sound really good.
The chicken parmesan may need
Yeah,
to be.
so add both of those. Chicken parm and chicken pizza cheesesteak.
Okay.
The only other one, and it's maybe the most incredibly simple sandwich ever, is just a plain cheese sandwich, but it's not a grilled cheese.
Oh,
I wouldn't vote for that. That just
Yeah,
sounds
I think
too
that's just no.
generic.
I
You
think
leave
it's
it off, but I do
think
it on
it's
a
fair-
regular basis.
Okay.
All right, counting up all the yeses, we have a total of 50.
Oh, Gary was one off.
So Gary, can you think of any other honorable mentions you want to try and force in here? Is there some kind of mashed potato pizza?
Now, Bob
cheesesteak?
did say mashed potato sandwich earlier, and I agreed with him, but
I wouldn't
that's
vote for
great.
that.
I love those.
See,
I got one because we talked about it, but we didn't add it. But the chicken fried steak biscuit at Grandy's,
Yeah.
we counted the other breakfast sandwiches as sandwiches.
So chicken fried steak sandwich and chicken fried steak biscuit sandwich.
Well, it's a biscuit, it's a chicken fried steak biscuit.
yeah,
It's the-
I would say it's the same thing, but I would give it to you.
That's not the same thing.
How about the hot roast beef open sandwich? This time it's the dark gravy.
Right. Yeah, that's different. I
Yeah, I
the
think that would different. I would call
different
it.
meat, different gravy. Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah.
And that makes it 51.
All right. Gary, with enough politicking, has gotten to the 51 total that he was looking for.
The beauty
So-
was just getting over 50 of the original list.
Yeah,
Yes, it was.
I definitely give you props that you got to a number higher than my list, which is a very rare thing to do. You win definitely the Showcase Showdown.
Both
Yeah,
showcases.
this was. Oh God, I'm hungry now. Bob, if someone wants to reach you, how can they?
Lukewarm Tallboy on all Twitter, Instagram, whatever.
Gary?
At travel_cowboy on Twitter.
Scott?
Scott_Matula on the Twitter.
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW. And Junior, how can they find the show and give you feedback?
All right. So you can reach me, Mexican_Junior on Twitter. You can reach the show at How Many Podcast on Twitter. You can email us, howmanypodcasts@gmail.com. Reach out to us on Facebook, on YouTube. Let us know what sandwiches we left out, which ones we included that we should not have included.
This is great. So we will see you guys at the table. Bring extra napkins, extra remoulade sauce. And if it's Scott, he wants meat and bread. There we go.
Chicken and bacon sourdough.
Thank you guys for listening, and we will talk to you soon.
Sandwich.